Great, great. It's so fun to get to talk to you. Thank you so much for, for taking the time to meet with me.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure on my end as well. And of course, uh, Inside Out 2, I would say one of the most anticipated movies of this summer, and certainly one of the most anticipated animated films really in the last few years. So congratulations on your work on that. So I guess we'll just start off. Tell us a little bit about your role on Inside Out 2, and what you feel like the film is going to bring to the table as a sequel to the very popular film.
Sure. I'm Maurissa Horwitz. I'm the lead editor on Inside Out 2. So that means I'm kind of the head of the editorial department for the movie. And, our role is really to shape the movie start to finish. We're involved from the very first day once the script is approved until the very last day. Like my last day on the movie is release day. So we really are creatively involved through the entire process, which is, different than live action. And certainly I'm so proud and excited to be a part of Inside Out too, because obviously the first one is legendary. It so elegantly interweaves these different storylines, inside the mind, inside headquarters with Riley. It's very emotional. And so it was a very high bar set for us. But we had a lot of fun making this movie. And I think all the new emotions we're introducing and where Riley's at right now just feel very true and very honest. And I hope it starts good conversations.
Yeah, I know I have a lot of high hopes because, of course, I think about Inside Out is, obviously it was a very entertaining film, well animated, all the kind of stuff you expect from, the Disney family. But it was a movie that had something to say, which we don't, often get with animated films or even any kind of mainstream films directed more towards younger audiences. And just, did you have any kind of personal insight, either from, I don't know, your own family or anything like that? That you brought to the table in looking at the sequel.
I think as soon as we started talking about the emotions we were going to bring in and where Riley was at, my inner 13-year-old came right back to the surface. What was great was we were all like editorial and the story team worked really closely together the first 2 years. That's when we're iterating the most on the story. And we were all constantly sharing experiences from our middle school years, talking about the emotions, and they're still very relevant to being an adult now. When you think about anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and even ennui, our boredom, we can tap into those at any age. But I think we all, I definitely very much connected, was thinking about my West Lane middle school days, leading into my years at North Central in Indianapolis, and had a lot of good memories there to tap into.
Yeah, that's something that I also wanted to bring up for those who don't know that you are a Hoosier of origin. And if you could just tell us a little bit about, growing up in this area and how that sort of maybe influenced your role as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, my entire childhood. I didn't leave until I went to college. And my family, we loved movies, we loved TV. I grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons. I remember very much my dad loved watching the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes with us all the time growing up. So it was definitely a family affair. And like some of the key movies from my childhood are Muppet Movie, Muppet Caper, Goonies, Princess Bride. And so like family movies and movies that like really appeal to a wide audience were just such a core part of how I grew up. And so then getting to actually work and make these movies now is such a gift. It's hard work, but I'm really proud to be a part of it.
And if you could just tell people a little bit about your education, your rise within the industry, sort of like the steps that brought you to where you are now.
Sure. And just to say, I cannot draw. So that is why I'm an editor and not an animator or storyboard artist. In fact, just recently, the head of story was trying to teach me how to draw a rough anxiety in case anybody asked. And it was a difficult process for him. But so I've always been passionate about movies. But like I wasn't a kid who picked up a camera all the time. I did a couple summer camps. One was at IU, the IU GT camp. It was like 2 weeks. We got to play around in television and a little bit of radio there. And so that was kind of my first entry into the entertainment world. And then when I got to college, I had planned to be a chemistry major. I went to Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, and I was a chemistry major for 3 years while I was taking film studies classes on the side. It was going to be a minor. It was a very history and theory program. And I just finally realized I just really loved film studies, and I really that was where my passion was. So I did an internship out in LA because I knew no one in Los Angeles, and very luckily, the woman who was the apprentice editor on the movie I interned on became a mentor for me. So she pulled me on to my first live action movie as an intern, an editorial intern. Later became an apprentice, and then she had actually transitioned into animation between a couple shows, and she pulled me into animation. And I've been here now ever since, and I just love animation so much. So, um, I just, had to work really hard and build connections every step of the way. But there's a lot of Midwesterners out here, making movies. We're very passionate about it. And Riley's from Minnesota originally, so I connect with Riley. She's got the Minnesota, the Midwest in her.
Yeah, and I was looking over, your IMDb and your own personal page of some of your credits. I mean, you just sort of see that natural progression, someone who rises from, intern to apprentice to associate to lead editor. And it's just very impressive. And, people tend to think of showbiz as being this very alien thing, but it ends up being like a lot of other vocations where you start, you learn, you apprentice, you grow, and eventually you kind of come into that fullness. And just want to let want to hear your words about kind of coming into your own in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, what I've kind of liked about editorial is like I've been able to learn and grow every step of the way and kind of pick up whether it's editing styles or management styles, because it is a combination of both when you're a lead editor. Along the way, I've worked at a lot of different studios. I'm so grateful to be at Pixar now, which has, been a long time dream. In fact, I applied for the Pixar internship, didn't get it, applied as an assistant editor multiple times at Pixar, didn't get it, but now I'm here as a lead editor, and it's incredible. It's everything I hoped it would be. So I think that especially in animation and the larger entertainment industry, it really is about like hard work, having a good attitude, and just really showing up and giving it your all. And every project I've been a part of, I've really invested myself in personally. Ideas, stories, and work ethic. And this one, I think probably I've invested myself more than any, just because I connect to the story so much.
Outstanding. I did want to ask you about something I did see on your resumes, a couple of voice acting credits. I think one from a movie last year lists you as a zombie actor number two or something like that. So how does an editor get roped into providing some of the background voices in an animated film?
Well, for the first couple of years, we're using reference dialogue here at the studio. So it's often people around the studio. We're kind of testing out the story, testing out the lines, making sure it all fits together. And hopefully, ideally, it's all getting replaced by professionals, and they bring a lot more to the table than I do. But every once in a while, I apparently did a good zombie movie screaming voice for the Nimona folks. And it was during the pandemic time, so it was a lot of recording in closets and around the house, and they were very generous to keep me in.
See, I can hear it. As someone who's also a broadcaster, you've got a lot of character to your voice. So I
Thank
wouldn't
you.
get tapped again down the line.
We'll see. We'll see. I have to say the cast of Inside Out 2 is so amazing. What they would bring, the amount of like ad libs and improvs, like those were the first things I would go to when I started cutting the dialogue, because they just always gave us such great material to work with.
Yeah. If you could just talk a little bit about the difference between being an editor for live action for animation, because I think a lot of people, casual fans, or even someone, maybe a little more seasoned like myself, might not really understand how that, because it seems like they'll be two very different disciplines.
Yeah, I'll do my best. It's easier with visuals, but I will try to talk it through. So, if you think of a movie in three processes, there's pre-production, which is usually the script writing, prep for a shoot in live action; production, which is actual like cameras on the ground, actors on the stage, you're shooting the whole thing; and then post-production, which is usually where editing starts. So it's editing, then, the final sound, the composer, the score, visual effects. The difference with animation is editing actually starts in pre-production. So because pre-production storyboarding is considered kind of part of the pre-production process, animation, when it's starting to get animated, is really what we consider production. So the first 2 years, we're iterating so much, and it's actually the most creative time for us as editors, because it's so quick to make changes. And like we work really closely with the board artists. We can say, actually, can we get a wide shot for that? Or, oh, we need a close up, and they can just, within an hour, send us the drawings. In fact, as we have edit reviews in my office, I'll often have one or two storyboard artists here live drawing, and we bring those drawings in, and so I can make changes on the fly when we're working with the director. So then we're still on the movie all the way through animation, but as it goes into animation, that's when things get more time consuming and therefore more expensive, because it's really a frame by frame process. And so we do less editing actually as the film moves forward through production. Layout, which is like our camera department, is another place where we're doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of editing, because that's the first time the characters are in the 3D space, and camera will add like cool moves, that are harder to draw. And so we are kind of really recutting the scenes. But as soon as it hits animation, hopefully we've got all of our final actors' voices in there, and we're really just kind of kind of gently shaping it then as it's coming through animation.
Okay. And I'm sure, you're probably at a stage of your career where you are now getting asked for advice and mentorship from people. So, if you were talking to a younger version of yourself, growing up, a teenager in Indianapolis today, who I'm interested in going into filmmaking, animation, editing, what would you say to them?
Well, and I'll be the first to admit that the industry is changing so fast, I can barely keep up. But I do think, what's great about the youth of today is they have tools at their fingertips that certainly weren't available when I was a kid. I mean, within your phone, you can do so much shooting, editing, working. And so just start creating, start playing, figuring out like what part of the process you enjoy the most when you're creating. Because it really is just about like iterating, doing it, practicing the process, learning to work with others on it too, I think is really important. The crew on this movie is 500 people or so. So, I mean, it is really a team effort to put these movies out. And I think, learning to work, with different jobs and different roles is really great as soon as you can. And then just like keep doing it. And if your college, if your high school offers classes in that, just keep playing with it. Make sure you really enjoy it. And then, as you get out of college, like try to target the area that really fits you. I mean, what's great about animation and the entertainment industry is there's really a job for everyone. Like I said, I can't draw. We have lawyers here at Pixar. We also have, writers and animators and every possible job out in the world we have here. So there really, if you're passionate about it, I think there really is a job for everyone. Just go after it.
Okay. Well, and for my last question, something I always like to ask filmmakers is, what's next for you? Do you already have another project lined up, or anything on your horizon that you're able to share with us?
I'm not sure exactly what's next. What I'm excited about at Pixar is that we do stay on and then like help other shows until a new show is coming out of development that I might be a good fit for. So I'm actually really excited to work with some of the other teams that are, in production now, and see how their directors work, how their teams work, and just get to help any way I can to make the movies even better.
All right. Well, great. Maurissa, thanks very much for your time. Congratulations on your success, and really looking forward to seeing Inside Out 2. I know with millions of other people.
Thanks so much, Chris. I hope you guys enjoy it.
All right. Thank you.